Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Rapid Recap here on the Inside Nebraska YouTube channel. He's Greg Smith, I'm Zack Carpenter, and if you guys are watching on the YouTube channel, I encourage you guys to like this video, subscribe to the Inside Nebraska YouTube page, and visit InsideNebraska.com where we have tons more coverage on Nebraska's 17-9 win over Northwestern. We're just going rapid fire style here.
I like it.
Initial thoughts, we got a bowl game potentially in balance. You told me on the last Rapid Recap on Monday that I couldn't talk about a potential bowl game until if they beat Northwestern. Well, they did, Greg Smith. They did beat Northwestern. Now we can talk a bowl game.
They did it. We can talk about it. You guys saw it right here, especially I know you guys are return and repeat viewers, so you saw us shake on it. We can talk about it. I think that Nebraska, there's two reasons why. One, obviously they won the game, and that was what we needed to see to get them one step closer to the six, to drive for six that I've kept talking about. But also, I really like something that Matt Rhule said in the post-game press conference too, about this is a game that the team would not have won early in the season, and I think that it's really important. A lot of players talked about it. You can watch those videos here as well on the YouTube channel. A lot of them talked about it too, about how they're all playing together and more as a brotherhood now than they were early in the season. And I think that tells me that they would not have the type of collapse that you would need to have in order for them to now not make a bowl game. I don't want to jinx it and say it's guaranteed, but man, it feels like that would be hard to see, especially with that defense.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it many times. They have a schedule that's softer than a baby's pinky finger, like the rest of the way, because it's one of the down years of the Big Ten West, which is never a super strong conference, and now you have that slate, a soft schedule of those winnable, manageable games. Again, like you had today, but like you said, that quote from Rhule about I think we would have lost this game at the beginning of the year, and then now after fighting through adversity and growing together as a team, he said now it's a win. So I think you're seeing the baby steps and the growth of this program. Because I see this as one of our Laguna Husker on our message board talked about how going into the game said, "Is this turning a corner?" He said, "Is this like a turning a corner game because of the way Scott Frost teams used to? This is like the ideal picture perfect game,
and they would have gotten like blown out.
Yeah.
Like it would have just been a loss. It would have been some sort of blowout. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I then did some research going through the Nebraska Northwestern history, and outside of the COVID year in 2020, weird wacky year in 2017, 18, 19, 21, 22. So in each of those years, so 5 of the last 6, the Northwestern game, whether it was a win or a loss, whether they beat them or lost Northwestern, right after that is when they went on a run of a losing streak or some sort of winning streak. I know in 2017 it was they lost. In 2018, for instance, they lost 6 straight games, and then they beat Northwestern coming out, and that was the start of a winning streak of winning 4 of the last 6. In 2018 and in 2021 we've talked about they started 3-3 like they did last year and this year. In 21 they started off 3-3 and then finished 0-6, 6 straight losses. There's I have a column that's going to be going up on InsideNebraska.com shortly after this of taking a look at those wins and losses, like how the Northwestern game was sort of like a turning point one way or another, and I'm wondering if, and that's the thing. That's why I'm kind of asking you: is this more of a baby steps game than a turning a corner game? I don't know if you see those as the same thing, or
I would say that
because we're not out of the woods yet.
I want people, but I want people to understand. Like when I say I agree that it is a turning point game, but I want people. There's some nuance there, right? I am not saying like the program has arrived or anything like that, but what I'm saying is them winning a game like this, in a game like they did not last week, but 2 weeks ago now at Illinois. Those are really positive signs for the future of this program. Like I think it's weird because on one hand you're like, oh man, the football is ugly, like it doesn't look great, like the offense isn't high flying yet, even though I don't want to go on that rant about that right now. I've got thoughts about the talk about the offense. I'll stay on topic. I think that it is a positive momentum for the program, and it's a great sign that they won this game, and it makes you feel so much more confident going into next week in Purdue, which is another game that we would have said previously is that kind of, not even trap game isn't the right word for it, but a game that
letdown game.
Yeah, that they would have had a letdown, even though this is not a program that should be having letdowns really against anyone. But I don't think that they're going to have that going into that game because of them being able to win this one.
Those are the exact same points like that. Those are the points that were in my head, but you put it out there like you described it better than I could, because yeah, it's not as if it's a turning point where now everything changes and they're going to go to a Big Ten championship game.
Nebraska is not back.
Right.
We're not saying that, but we are saying that there's steps being taken.
Now, do you feel though that the ceiling for this season, just year one under Rhule, do you feel like the ceiling changes like because of this win, because of some of the things you talked about, and then Minnesota beats Iowa? Like the Big Ten West is wide open.
Wide open.
And I mean, Nebraska controls its own destiny in the Big Ten West race,
So wild.
which is weird. But I mean, Wisconsin and Iowa remain the top two contenders. But
they play them.
the fact remains that Nebraska does control its destiny in the Big Ten West, and it's wide open. And it would probably take a 4-1 or 5-0 finish, but that's still on the table. I don't know if you see the ceiling changing for this group or not really.
It's funny. I think that the ceiling is about the same. It's still 6 to 8 wins on the super optimistic side, like my bold prediction, and get to the bowl game. And I still think that was the ceiling coming in. But I think weathering all the things that are happening right now changes the ceiling for the future long-term outlook of this program. I think that if they continue on this path that they're on right now and they find ways to grind out games, and they continue to play this great defense, I think that you're going to feel really good going into next season, year 2 of Matt Rhule, where you traditionally have that big jump. I think that you will start to feel really confident about that, pending what happens kind of with some of the offseason moves.
Yeah, exactly. It's pending a lot of things, such as whether they can, like you alluded to, weather these injuries, weather the storm.
Yeah, that's starting to become, I don't even know if starting to become a huge storyline. I mean, it is. It's here. Like, there's no way you look out at one point and the 3 freshman wide receivers are out there. You have Justin Evans-Jenkins having to play guard, and then he has to move back over to center. You've just got so many different injuries all on this offense, but you should not forget about the defense, who has also had to cycle through guys as well. Got Luke Reimer back today, and he played well in some spots. Don't have Deshaun Singleton back yet, who I still think was one of, if not their best defender at that time when he went down. Nash Hutmacher has taken that spot now. And so, yeah, the team has just been really banged up. That, I think, is right now the biggest X factor for if they're going to go on some big run like is on the table for them down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about those receivers. Billy Kemp goes down today, so now you've lost. In the first week of August, the top 4 projected receivers in the rotation were Xavier Betts, Marcus Washington, Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda, and then you have Billy Kemp as a slot receiver. In whatever order you slice it, those were the top 4. Now, 3 of those 4 are done for the year with the torn ACL injuries to IGC, Marcus Washington, then the departure of Xavier Betts from the program. And today, Billy Kemp went down with a knee injury. It looks like potential MCL, Matt Rhule said after the game. He seemed a lot more optimistic about Kemp than I thought it looked.
A lot more optimistic than when he first talked about Marcus Washington. We kind of felt like that one was going a really bad way. So we'll see. You never know. Like, hopefully it's more of a short-term thing. It would be stunning to see him next week, but if he can only be out for a couple of weeks, that would be huge. Either way, they're probably going to have to get by without him for the short term, but we'll see.
And probably sounds like Ethan Piper you'll have to be without. Rhule said that was more serious after the game. He got carted off to the locker room after getting looked at.
And Nuri was asked about that, and he kind of sidestepped it. He was like, I shouldn't say too much about it, but your heart goes out to him, that sort of thing. It didn't sound great. When guys start saying that, he talked about how they're roommates, and they were roommates, and that guy will do anything for the team. He was already out there playing with a broken hand, and so you really feel for Ethan Piper, who was obviously laying his body on the line, literally for the team. You really feel for any type of long-term injury situation that looks like it's coming there.
Yeah, it was already playing with a broken hand, and now he's suffered that injury. So we'll keep you updated on that over again at InsideNebraska.com and our YouTube channel. But before we get out of here, we talked about Billy Kemp going down, but stepping up in his place was true freshman Malachi Coleman. I wanted to run through just what I thought were the 3 biggest plays of the game real quick, because you had Malachi Coleman, first career touchdown, 44-yarder that broke the game open on the first play, the Huskers' first play of the fourth quarter. And then you have Isaac Gifford's touchdown-saving tackle in the first half. I believe, was it the first half? or third quarter?
Third quarter, I want to say.
So yeah, those two plays, and then I think you had a third one.
There was
I told you to save it for the pod.
There was a punt by Brian Buschini that flipped the field, that put Northwestern inside of its own 10.
You went with a punt in a Big Ten West game as one of the key plays of the game.
I mentioned that when we were in the box. You had to know that was coming because I was like, that was a Big Ten punt right there. Huge play for Nebraska, because if Nebraska just plays that level of complementary football, the way that defense plays, and if they're not turning the ball over, they're going to be in every game and have positions to win. That was just a symbolic play of being able to play that type of ball. I love it. That fires me up. It's weird, but that punt.
The spiral on the punt though, like it was like going through the air, like beautifully, like went right across our faces in the press box. It seemed like, because it was a beautiful Big Ten West punt.
That's right.
From Brian Buschini. How's that for some alliteration right there? But yeah, complimentary football again. I mean, the offense did just enough. They had the one big play. They had the one big drive at the end of the first half where Heinrich Harburg punched it in. Harburg, tough, not the day you want to see from Harburg coming out of a bye week. He finished, I think, 8 for 17 for 85 yards. Yeah, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. But 70-some yards on the ground and a touchdown, but still not the performance you want to see from him. Last thing I hit on, performance you do want to see is from the defense. Yeah. I mean, they held Northwestern to 81 rushing yards, so 6 of the 7 opponents this year outside of Michigan they've held to less than 100 yards rushing. 7 points allowed last week, 9 points, or 2 weeks ago against Illinois, 9 this week, so 16 total points over the last 2 weeks.
That's getting it
8
done.
points per game, and then 8 sacks today, which is incredible.
Also allowed I think Northwestern crossed the 50-yard line, got into Nebraska's territory, I think 7 times, and only surrendered 9 points. That's going to get it done every week. Nebraska's defense, I tweeted right after the game, is legit, and they're going to keep them in a lot of ball games. If Nebraska's offense can give you 20% more, they're going to be really tough to beat down the stretch.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's going to be excitement building for Purdue coming up. Purdue's 2-5, 1-3 in the Big Ten, coming off of their own bye week by the time next Saturday hits. So there's going to be some hope and anxiety, I'm sure, building throughout the week of the possibilities and also the fears of what might happen next. But we could go on for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, 2 hours on this stuff. But we're going to get out of here. Again, encourage you guys to like this video, subscribe to the Inside Nebraska YouTube channel, get these videos dropped directly into your feed, and encourage you guys to go to InsideNebraska.com, where we have a lot more in-depth coverage of this win and what's coming up in the big picture for the rest of year 1 in the Matt Rhule era. So for Greg Smith, I'm Zack Carpenter, and we'll catch you guys again next time.